This is a video of Great-Grandma Esther's life. I'm her great-grandson Ben, and this is her story. When were you born?
September 12th, 1914.
Where were you born?
I was born in the Brownsville part of Brooklyn.
Were you born in a hospital?
No, I was born, of course not, I was born at home.
Was there a doctor there, or?
I wouldn't know, they never discussed it.
Was anyone in your family not born in America?
Well, except for my parents, all my siblings were born here in America.
How many people were in your family?
We were 5 people.
Were you poor when you were little?
Yes, we were poor.
Did you have any brothers or sisters that are not alive, were not alive, or didn't live to grow up?
Yes. My oldest sister, who was I would have had an older sister who was born in Europe, but she died before, when she arrived in America. And my brother's last children were twins, and one of them died. So we were 5 people in a family.
Were you happy when you were a little girl?
Well, yes, I think I was.
What was it like when you went to school?
Well, I think I liked school. I liked school very much, so I was very happy to go to school.
Yeah,
I wanted to learn.
Did you speak English when you went to school?
Yes, I spoke English.
Okay. You didn't speak Yiddish?
Very little.
Okay, because you told me that you went to kindergarten and the children made fun of you because you...
Oh, well, yes, I was sitting in the assembly one day, and I must have pronounced the word wrong, and they turned around and said to me, "When did you get off the boat?" But I think that was the time when I realized I've got to learn how to speak English, what you remember, English well. And from that day on, I refused to speak Yiddish. And now I'm sorry, because Yiddish is still another language.
How many grades did you finish?
Well, if you're speaking about elementary school, I graduated elementary school, and then I started high school, and unfortunately, after, put your toes down. Put your toes down there, that's it. After I finished 1 year of high school, my mother said, my father had lost his job, and my mother said, it was summertime, and she said, "No, Esther, Dad lost his job because of your father," and he says, "We need you to go to work." And I wasn't even quite 15 years of age yet. At that age, my mother took me by the hand. I would never went on a trade myself, and took me by the hand and took me to work in a factory.
Doing what?
You'll never believe it. Making shoddy pants for men's coats and suits.
How did you get along with your friends?
I got along very well with people and with my friends.
By the way, as far as school goes, that means you never went past first year of high school?
Well, that's another story. When I finished the first year of high school, summer was over, and I figured right after summer's over I was going to go back to day school. And unfortunately, my mother approached me and told me that my father still wasn't working, but they needed my little income. I think I made $7 a week that time. And
How many hours do you think you worked?
she said, but you can go to night school. That's what I did. I started going to night school at the age of 15 and a half. 15. I started to go to night school. Worked during the day and went to school, carrying my school books every day. And every chance I had, of course, I studied. Unfortunately, when I was like in elementary school, my mother came up to open school week one day, and the teacher said to my mother, "Your daughter is a very bright girl, and I think you should see that she gets a good education and becomes a school teacher." And that's what all my life I wanted to become, was a school teacher. That's what happened.
So did you graduate from high school?
I graduated from night high. I went 5.5 years to night school at night. Coming home from work, grabbing a bright, and running to school at night, and I graduated high school. And I entered Brooklyn College. I worked in the 28th Street area, and Brooklyn College was actually on 23rd. And I used to walk from where I worked. By that time, I worked in a silk underwear factory. I no longer work, thank God, making shopping pairs. I worked in a silk underwear factory where I helped the poor lady distribute work and keep record of all the work that goes out. And
What year was this about?
Well, she went to work, you went to work during the Depression, right?
yes,
That's why her father left
I didn't
most
mention
of
it.
her job.
Yes.
We're not going to
Times were very bad at that time. Went through a very bad time. So I lived through a very bad period.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know any better. Not that I didn't know any better, but I had no recourse. I had to live with what I had.
How did you get to school? How long did it take?
How did I get to school? Well, when I went to elementary school, I used to walk over to school. But of course, once I stepped to work, I had to go from wherever I worked, I had to take the train. I'd come home and then go to school. And then later on, when I went to high school at night, then I went from work when I went to high school. I'd come home and go directly to high school.
Were there a lot of girls in the same position who would
What?
work? Were there a lot of girls your age in the same position who would work during the day?
Not
Go to
a
school
lot,
at night?
but there were. Yeah, there were not a lot. A lot of people were more fortunate than I.
How did you meet Great Grandpa Lou?
How did I meet Grandpa?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see now. There was always a group of boys who, by that time, things had gotten better. My father finally got a job, and they, with another family, they bought a four-family house on Hegman Avenue, and we moved down on Watkins Street to 526 Hegman Avenue. It was a lovely four-family house with a little stoop, and my life was better, but my job was better, my life was better, and we were 3 girls in my family, so some of the boys from the area used to come around from Georgia Avenue, Alabama Avenue, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They used to come around, and Lou was one of them. Well, one of them was attracted to my oldest sister, Rose, who was a pretty girl. And her story is very similar to mine. She also had to go to work and things like that. And he went with her. And Lou used to tag along and come along. And one day, I never forget, I wasn't well, and I lost some weight, and I was very pale. And I was wearing a long black dress, and there was a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there was Lou standing with his friend, two of his friends, and he looked at me. I said, "Oh, hello," because I knew him. They always came around, and from that time on, for some reason, he realized I was a person and I was different. I was a little more grown up or something. My illness had thinned me out, and I was sort of pale, and my hair was nice and all. And he says, "You know, Esther, I would like to take you out." Even though they used to come around, he never took me out on dates. And then it was the first time he asked me to go out with him. And that was the beginning of Lou Weinstein's courtship with Esther Goldstein.
How long was the courtship?
We must have gone about, let's see, by that time I was already about 18 years, I guess.
Did you break up for a while, or?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
No, I don't think we ever broke up, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you get married?
I was living in Hetman Avenue at that time. I think I was 22 when we got married. 22 years of age when we got married. We had a hall. My mother took a hall. Not the nicest place in the world, but it was a hall. And it was a wedding. It was a very nice wedding. And I have a picture of myself married on the wall. And off we went to the Catskills for our honeymoon. I think it was Lakewood or Lakeside or something like that. In the Catskills. Monticello, I think, somewhere around there. And that was the beginning of our married life.
And where did you live when you got married?
Where did I live? Well, we lived a very short while with my parents. And then we moved to Rockaway Parkway. 526 Rockaway Parkway. Or was it 514? 514 Rockaway Parkway. We moved in a 3-room apartment on the 3rd floor.
Your mother had a stroke. How did that change your life?
Oh, well. Unfortunately, my mother, at the age of 69, had a terrible stroke.
How old were you then?
I had to start figuring out. I was still, the teenagers are still living there. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'll never forget, I came home and found that my mother was in the hospital. And of course, it became very difficult. That I really had to work even harder, help out in the house a little bit. And I had to hear how to go to school at night, work in the daytime, try to help a little with my mother. But we did get, I remember a big Irish woman who came in. When my mother came home from the hospital, she couldn't move. I mean, she was paralyzed on her left hand and foot. And she was in the invalid for a while. For the first year and a half, it was very difficult. But then she started treatments, and she wore high shoes. I have pictures of her with those high shoes, and she was able to start getting around a little bit. But that woman, the Irish woman, helped a lot. She was a common help, and we all had help with things in the house. But it was never the same. My mother was never able to cook like she used to. My mother was the greatest cook in the world. So one thing, we may never have had money, but my mother always managed to get enough food together to make a good meal for us. She was a wonderful mother. That's the one thing I must say. Funny thing is, I can't say that about my father, but my mother was a wonderful mother.
How many kids did you have?
Did I have or did my mother have? Did I have? I had 3 children. Grandma, first I had Wilma. 3 years later I had Kenneth. And then 6 years later, 7 years later, she was the afterthought. He said, if it happens, it happens. It had to happen. Barbara was born. And she was a very nice, lovely little girl. But Wilma was no problem as a child. She was a very pretty little girl, very pretty. And I'll never forget, they always had a group of friends around. And I have to tell you this story. At the age of 16, we made a little birthday party, a sweet 16 party for my daughter. And there's always one boy that hung around my daughter more than anybody else. And his name was David. And David, all of a sudden, I noticed they were busy in my neighbor's house, running back and forth. I said, what's going on? I said, what's going on? It seemed that David gave my daughter a ring. On her 16th, he was 18, my daughter was 16. And to my daughter was the prettiest girl in the world. She was a very pretty girl. And I said, you're too young to make up your mind or anything. Why are you tying yourself? Well, they didn't listen to me. I guess they kept seeing each other, and as you see, they are very happily married. And I was never sorry that they got married once they did.
What was your happiest memory growing up?
But your happiest memory growing up? I had many happy memories. I really have. By getting married, going on my honeymoon, I'll never forget, was one of my happiest memories. Having my wonderful children, and most times I had a lot of happiness with my children. They gave me a lot of happiness. Maybe I had a little problem with my Kenny. He wasn't the most amiable person, but even he settled down a little sometimes. And of course, my Barbara was my biggest surprise of my life. The girl that was never around the house. She was always running around to her friends, because all her friends were around the school, around the high school. So, and she used to beg me, please Mom, let's move there, let's move there. But I said, no, the neighbor is nice, but not that, so she used to go there all the time. I never hardly ever saw her. So I never knew that my daughter was such a bright person. Do you want me to tell you about her?
Sure.
Well, Barbara, as I said, surprised me. As I said, I didn't know too much about her because she never was around. But one day she came home from high school. She was graduating high school.
Mom, you had moved to Howard Beach. They were no longer on Rockaway Parkway.
Oh, by that time?
Yeah, but they insisted that my sister continue at Samuel J. Tilden and not
Yes.
move to the Queens High School Sam Adams. And that's why she was always at her friend's house. Okay? Because her friends, they were in a different school district altogether.
No, not the very beginning.
Not in the very beginning,
No,
but that's
but
when-
later.
Yes,
But later we moved.
right.
Yeah, we moved to, where was that, Queens?
Yes, we moved to Howard Beach.
To Howard Beach.
Linden
That
Woods.
is it.
Mhm.
To Howard Beach. We moved to a beautiful, thank God I was working and having a better job. Oh, I worked in, by the way, I forgot to mention. As I said, all these years I worked always in factories, but doing a little easier work now. I didn't actually become I was a factory worker. I would assist the poor people,